Growing a business is kind of tricky right now. Supply chains are squeezed, tariffs and trade policies are dynamic, and cash flow, it's tighter than ever. You need clarity to come out on top. Without it, you risk falling behind. If only you could hop in the DeLorean and see the future, right? Thankfully, there's NetSuite by Oracle. NetSuite has real-time forecasting to help you move ahead with confidence. This is your AI-powered business management suite and the #1 cloud ERP. Trusted by over 42,000 businesses, NetSuite brings accounting, financial management, inventory, and HR all under one roof. It's your single source of truth, giving you the data and control you need to move quickly. And with AI built in, you can automate the busy work and focus on strategy. NetSuite helps you see what's stuck, what it's costing you, and how to pivot fast. If I were running a business with a lot of moving parts, I'd use NetSuite for full control over everything. Tame the chaos with NetSuite. If your revenues are at least in 7 figures, download the free ebook, Navigating Global Trade, 3 Insights for Leaders at netsuite.com/SPI. That's netsuite.com/SPI. You spent months building towards launch day, but when the clock hits 0, your site crashes. Bots swarm, and loyal fans rage on Reddit. That's not good. Fanfare was built to stop that. Fanfare is the drop platform made for high-pressure moments, stampede-proof infrastructure, verified waitlists, and bot filters that actually work. Instead of refunds and rage, you get retention and revenue. And that sounds great to me. Your next launch shouldn't be a gamble. Get Fanfare's 5-step hype drop playbook and learn how to bulletproof your drop at fanfare.io/playbook. Again, that's fanfare.io/playbook. Congrats, your business is doing great. All your hard work is paying off, but you need help like now, and you have to hire fast. How can you hire amazing candidates quickly? Easy. Just use Indeed. When it comes to hiring, Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. Indeed sponsored jobs help you stand out and hire fast. And with sponsored jobs, your posts jump to the top of the page for your relevant candidates so you can reach people you want faster. And it makes a huge difference. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. One of the things I love most about Indeed is that it has one of the largest databases of job seekers, giving employers access to a wide range of candidates. And with job alerts, I get notified when new candidates apply. And with Indeed sponsored jobs, there's no monthly subscriptions, no long-term contracts, and you only pay for results. So how fast? Well, in the minute that I've been talking to you, 23 hires were made on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. There's no need to wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/smartpassive. Just go to Indeed.com/smartpassive right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/smartpassive. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring, Indeed, is all you need. This is the Smart Passive Income Podcast with Pat Flynn, session number 246. May all the podcasts never be forgot.
Welcome to the Smart Passive Income Podcast, where it's all about working hard now so you can sit back and reap the benefits later. And now your host. One day, he'll write a fiction novel that's turned into a movie. Pat Flynn.
While DIY website tools are everywhere, most fall short on design and performance. Hit publish. Framer ships your site worldwide in seconds. No code, no compromises. Framer is a powerful, user-friendly platform that delivers developer-level results without writing a single line of code. Make your designs move and convert with Framer. Framer brings your site to life with powerful animations, dynamic content handling, and a design-first approach that helps your site stand out. Framer is the design-first, no-code website builder that lets anyone ship a production-ready site in minutes. Browse hundreds of pixel-perfect templates or even design something of your own on a totally blank canvas. Add bold animations like appear effects, text effects, scroll and looping animations, and much more in seconds. And it's free to start. The built-in AI handles the heavy lifting of generating starter layouts and can even translate your entire site to any language. On the back end, you'll get responsive breakpoints, built-in hosting, a flexible CMS, and privacy-friendly analytics. Ready to build a site that looks hand-coded without hiring a developer? Launch your site for free at Framer.com and use code SPI to get your first month of pro on the house. That's Framer.com, promo code SPI. Framer.com, promo code SPI. Rules and restrictions may apply. With running your own business, legal questions always come with the territory. Like, can I use this contract or agreement? What do I do if a client doesn't pay? Am I even structured the right way for taxes? Instead of Googling your way through legal landmines, imagine having a law firm ready to address your business's legal needs without the sticker shock. That's what you get with Legal Shield's small business plans. Legal Shield helps entrepreneurs access real legal help on contract reviews, collection letters, business formation guidance, and even help navigating IRS audits. Members can schedule consultations, upload documents through the app, and get support from a provider law firm that knows small business laws in your state. Plus, consultations on taxes or trademarks help you stay ahead of potential problems. And if a client is late on a payment, Legal Shield steps in with professional collection letters so you can protect your hard-earned revenue, all for a fraction of the price of hiring a lawyer on your own. Go to LegalShield.com/SPI or call 833-570-9980 to learn more and get big business legal support without a big business budget. That's LegalShield.com/SPI. What's up, guys? Pat Flynn here. And man, it is the last episode of 2016. I cannot believe 2017 is just around the corner. But I wanted to take this opportunity with you today, not just to thank you for being here, and for those of you who have listened to multiple episodes, thank you so much for all your support. I wanted to do a special episode here to close off the year by taking you back into time, always got to do a Back to the Future reference, and bring back some of my favorite parts from my top 5 favorite episodes that came out this year. And we're going to start right at episode 200 with my good buddy Todd Tressiter from financialmentor.com, who talked about how to delete a third of your content so you can triple your traffic. We're talking about content audits here, and here's a little clip.
Stuff. Well, Google's come a long ways, and you want to create a high-quality experience both from Google for ranking, because they want the best quality experience for their users, as well as for your users. You want to create the best quality experience for your users. And you do that no different than you would by editing an article or editing a post. You got to edit your site. And that's why I call it's not necessarily a content audit, it's a content edit.
And I like the analogy you used in the presentation where you talk about your website is almost like a book, essentially, because it's made up of all these different pieces of content, but you would never publish the first draft of a book.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's the analogy I tried to draw, since who I was presenting to was all content marketers in the financial space and writers. And I was trying to draw an analogy that would make sense, because people are really intimidated by the idea of an audit. We think of an IRS audit or anything like that. It sounds like a lot of work and it's going to be cumbersome, and it is. But edit makes a lot more sense to people when they hear it, because a post, you would never just publish a first draft of a post, right, Pat?
No, you go through it, you edit it, you read it out loud to fix mistakes, and maybe through doing that, you add more points or stories or take some out.
Yeah, and so now you're writing a book, and it's kind of the same thing times 10, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you do a rough draft of a book, you start at one point, you draft it out, you get your ideas down, and then you go back through it and you think, oh, this is terrible, right? And so then you come up with some more concepts, you rework the whole book, you start getting excited about it. Then it goes to a formal edit, where somebody does content edit, and then it goes through a couple more, and then it goes through line edits, and on and on and on. And that's what creates a great reading experience for the buyer. And it's the same thing with your website. If you think about your website, you started on day one and you started publishing content. And then you've published it in chronological order. That's what a blog does. And so over time, you've built this conglomeration, if you will, of content on the site, and it's been built piece by piece by piece, no different than you would write pages in a book. And so a content edit is the same thing, or a content audit is the same thing as in a book, where you go back, you reorganize, you delete the old stuff that's out of date, you tighten it up, you kill your darlings, according to Stephen King. You just go through the whole thing and really tighten up, so it creates a great reader experience. And it just happens that Google can detect that. They can detect the quality of the site, the tightness of the site, the focus of the site, and as a result, they reward that.
When I thought about this initially, I was like, really? The response to this episode was beyond positive. A lot of people really grasped onto this idea, and for the rest of the episode, we get pretty technical into how to do that content audit and actually what to delete and what to redirect and all that stuff. So if you wanted to listen to the rest of that episode, all you have to do is go to smartpassiveincome.com/session200. That's the sort of pattern there. If you want to get to the show notes, smartpassiveincome.com/session200. And just some of the reaction on Twitter, for example, El Vogue says, a great learning lesson for content auditing: keep, improve, consolidate, remove. That was sort of the theme that we're going off of here. And somebody followed up saying, quality is the new SEO, which is definitely very true. Carolina Owsley had said in February, super SPI podcast with financial mentor, clear strategy to dig in, evaluate, and improve traffic. Bravo, Pat Flynn, and bravo, Todd. So thank you, Todd, for delivering that information. And hopefully those of you who have yet to do your content audit, which should be done after, I would say, a year to 2 years worth of content. If you are 1 or 2 years into your blogging journey, that's when you should go back and consider which ones are actually worth keeping and which ones are worth deleting. Okay, next up, we have episode 205 with Jada Selner, one of the 2 women who blog and run a business over at simplegreensmoothies.com, an incredibly successful brand and community that has built over 200,000 subscribers. And again, we're just talking about Simple Green Smoothies here. So how are they able to build this amazing community? Well, with simple, not green, but just simple, normally colored actions. And they're using something that I have ended up picking up and using as a result of getting inspired by what I learned in this episode, and that is challenges. Instead of just saying or writing blog posts or creating podcast episodes, asking your audience to do something, you focus that effort in and around a challenge that gets people excited, that has a date to it, that has a way to give people a blitz, if you will, into doing something. And so the girls, Jennifer and Jada at Simple Green Smoothies, use challenges, free challenges, to help grow their email list, to help grow their customer base. They came out with a book this year as well, which did very, very well. And I used the challenge myself when doing a little promotion for ConvertKit back in November. And it was a 72-hour email subscriber challenge, challenging people to go from 0 to 100 emails. And I'm actually, as I'm recording this, in the middle of that challenge right now because I record these ahead of time. And just in the first day of launching this challenge, over 5,000 people have joined this challenge. So these challenges work. So here's Jada Selner, who is just an amazing human being, such positive energy always coming from her, and you can hear it in her voice, and here she is talking about these challenges that she does. Why is it called a challenge? I think this is, again, I'm trying to differentiate between just a normal opt-in versus the challenge, and why it was specifically chosen to be that way. Because if it was just recipes, you could have said, sign up to get our recipes.
Yes. Oh, I love that question. And it's such a good question. And the thing that we are so committed to is that we're in this together as a community. And so that is the difference between, kind of the free ebook opt-in offer versus courting your community, is what I like to say, is that for 30 days, we're actually in this with you. So our community happiness specialist, Jen and I, we are responding to all of the comments. We're engaging with our community. We're cheering them on. And we are all hands on deck, every email, every comment that's posted on Facebook and Instagram, we're answering their questions. We're in it for this set time. And it's committing to here's the start date and here's the end date, and we're in this together. And we have definitely thought about we should package this and sell it and just have it going all the time. But kind of the secret magic to our 30-day green smoothie challenge is the community engagement, that it's live and it's in real time. And I just think that's the biggest thing, is that we're in it together.
Okay. Talk more on the real timeness of it. I thought it was a automated email sequence that people get after they subscribe.
Yeah. So, and I always say it's harder, you can't automate connection or outsource authenticity. And not to say that you can't transform someone's life through automating things, but I think there is something special when you're in it in real time. So we're sending those emails. I mean, we can automate schedule when the email will go out each week, but we're just in it together as a community from a start date to the end date. And that's where we're able to really fully show up for them in that time.
I see. So if I were to subscribe right now, for example, to the 30-day challenge, what kinds of emails would I see?
You would get a welcome email, and you would find out that we do a live challenge 4 times a year. That's January, April, July, and October. And so you actually wouldn't get your first shopping list until for this one, you wouldn't get it until right before January 1st.
Wow. So talk about building buzz for something.
Yeah. So it creates this like a sense of there's scarcity, right? Of like, okay, I got to sign up by this time.
Totally.
And then if you missed it or you joined in late, we actually still bring people in and we will send them the shopping list to catch up. But then it also creates like momentum for like, when is the next one coming? It's like, okay, it's not till April. So you're just sitting and waiting until that happens. And I think that's really, really important.
I've talked about this before many times in presentations and here on the show, the importance of creating events. And I think the challenge is an easy way to create an event. An event is something that people look forward to, that they feel like they are participating in. And when you can get people to get excited about something like that, it can really bring a community together. But not only that, it raises your status in the space that you're in. You become even more of an authority person because you're the one who's putting this on, and all this excitement and stuff is happening under you and your brand, and because you're the one actually putting together this quote challenge or event. So that's an amazing thing to do. I typically say, put on live webinar Q&A sessions that people can look forward to, or put on a meetup the next time you go to a city, or it could be a live stream of some kind. Those are events that people can look forward to and feel like they're participating in, but a challenge that allows them to get a result. That's the difference here. And I think when people start to feel and see the results coming from your teachings, from the fact that you have helped them in a free and even small way, they're going to be more likely to transact with you later in the future. So that was Jada Selner from simplegreensmoothies.com. And you can listen to the rest of that episode and some more technical details about the challenge and how that's all put together over at smartpassiveincome.com/session210. Picking my top 5 episodes of this year was very, very difficult. There were a number of episodes that I wanted to feature in here, but if I put all of my favorite ones in here, which was pretty much all the episodes I did this year, I would not have a lot of happy people because it would be 6 or 7 hours worth of content, and you might as well just listen to all the episodes if you haven't already. One of the most memorable ones for me was the one with the co-founder of the Make-A-Wish Foundation, Frank Shankwitz, who told an amazing story about how that foundation started, and it really brought tears to my eyes, and you could probably hear it in my voice. That was episode 220, and I'm not going to play a clip from that one, but I do recommend that you do check that one out if you can. But in that episode, it was very special for me because I've been doing a lot of philanthropic stuff lately, and that just meant the world to me that I was able to have access to Frank and have him tell a story about how that whole foundation started. It's just truly amazing. Now, the next one I want to share with you and share a clip with you from is episode 221. This brings back a student of mine, Ken Kelly, who I had worked with years ago on a website that he created for magic and teaching magic to kids. And I love that because he was able to get his daughter involved and whatnot, and they built this business together, and then now they recently came out with a book together, and his wife got involved too with taking the photographs for that book, which is really cool. But in this particular episode, he came back to talk about what had happened since the first time he was on the show, how his business has grown, and he talked about a really cool affiliate marketing strategy that he used to sell more of his product, because he sells products for magicians, and he kind of tapped out all the resources that he could sell through in the online world. So he was able to come up with an amazing strategy that utilized brick and mortar magic stores to sell his online-based product as an affiliate. And that was really cool. But what I want to share with you from this episode was a really honest story that Ken told about something that happened in his past that was just, I was really thankful that he was able to share it here with us. So I'm going to play a clip, and he will share that story, but I'm going to play a little bit before he shares that sort of very honest story about something that happened in his past, because he talks a little bit about what it was like to work with me, and he talks a little bit about what he has learned and a lot of the mindset stuff that is involved with succeeding in an online business, which is really important. And he says it in a very eloquent way with his awesome accent, but then you'll hear the point at which the story that I'm talking about comes into play.
Introduce me as a student. That's exactly what I was. I was a student of yours, and the ideas and your enthusiasm and passion kind of washed over me. And as a result, another person gets to leave a job that they felt stuck in and go and live their dream, and it's just about paying that forward. And that for me is the biggest bonus out of all of this. Out of all of it.
That's amazing. And, thank you for giving me credit there in terms of starting this ripple effect. But obviously, you've been a star student. You've taken a lot of the information that I've shared with you and actually put it into practice and have gone above and beyond. And it's similar because I'm seeing a little bit of myself in you when I had started with Internet Business Mastery back in 2008. I was told the same thing, that I was taking their information and using it, but also just really going above and beyond with it. So what are some of those things that you feel that you learned from me, but then kind of took the next level that really helped you get to where you're at today with the website and these book deals? And, a lot of this stuff, it's not even things that you can really plan for. It kind of just happens. But what you're doing is you're giving yourself opportunity. And, you're doing that in a very, very smart way. So can you talk a little bit about kind of, what are those things that you did learn from me? I'm actually very curious to hear what you have to say about that. But then also, how are you taking those things to the next level and creating these opportunities for yourself?
You're 100% right. You've hit the nail on the head when you say you create opportunity. And there's that saying that the harder you try, the luckier you get, And what you were for me, Pat, was an inspiration of anybody can do this. I love your story of being laid off. It's just a great story and how you kind of faced the unfaceable barriers. And it was the same idea. I was very happy. And this is going to sound maybe a little bit weird because I've been a professional entertainer all my life, but I was very happy in December to be able to lay down my tools as an entertainer. Now, that doesn't mean I don't go out and entertain anymore. I still love it, but I no longer make my living from that. I now make my living from training other people to be entertainers and sharing that passion with them and helping them better their business and live their dreams, I guess. So it kind of allowed a whole new world to open up with me. Yeah, you've got all the tips and you have on some amazing guests that I can learn from. But at the end of the day, it's about focus and consistency, getting down to it and doing it yourself. And here's the thing. The biggest win for me was my failure. And I know that's, again, it's going to sound like a contradiction in term then. How can you say your biggest win is your failure? But what I learned about getting out there and doing it is you fall over and you skin your knees and it hurts and you've got to stand up and do it again. And it's very easy to listen to the stories and to read the material that is available about internet marketing and online marketing and to think that it's an easy world and that it's a get-rich-quick world. But it isn't, It's about hard work and it's about failure and falling over. And I redefined failure from this journey in that I thought that failure was, I guess, how we understand failure to be. But it's not that like that anymore for me. Failure, I think, is giving up. And if you don't give up, if you just stand up and do it again, then you don't fail. And so much has gone wrong, in the 2 years that since we spoke, so much has gone wrong. But so much has gone right too. And when something goes wrong, I'm able to learn from that, pick myself up, dust myself off, and kind of move on to the next thing, I guess. And I've got something really cool that I'm hoping to share that I think may be valuable. And it's something that we picked up that we used in our business, making us a lot of money, putting lots of people on our list, and we're getting some great relationships from it. And it came 100% from failure.
I really want to hear about that, but before I get, maybe you can lead into that through a particular failure that you've had, because I think a lot of people are curious now. You've talked about these failures that you've gone through. Well, what were some of those failures?
I'm going to share with you my biggest failure, and it wasn't to do with online marketing, and it came long before, and if you listen to episode 101, SPI Podcast, you're going to hear that the first part of the story where I speak about my television career and being an entertainer. Mm-hmm. And there was something I deliberately left out of that, Pat. And what I left out of it was that, sure, I had the television career, but I made a massive, big error, a lapse in judgment, stupidity, call it what you like. But when I was at the top and I had the houses and the cars and I was a household name, I got into a crowd of people that were using drugs to get by. And I found myself getting caught down that road. And at the age of 30 years old, I remember looking around, Pat. It's emotion. It's emotion when I kind of tell you this. Mm-hmm. It chokes me up. Looking around and thinking, this is all broken. It's the biggest failure my life could ever be. Because, Pat, I was in prison. I was in a jail, and I was 2/3 through a 3-year sentence for theft out of motor vehicles and petty theft for trying to support a massive mistake and a habit that I developed. And at that day when I turned 30, I looked around and I thought, what am I doing here? And I needed to pick myself up. I had some friends that were working in the kitchen, and we got some flour and we got some eggs and we got some milk, and I made some little donuts, and I went around selling them. And I kind of made a vow that from that day on, I would look to my own, I guess, business direction in life and make a profit. And that was a massive turning point for me. And it was a massive failure. I mean, it doesn't get bigger than that. So if you're out there and you're listening to this and you think, I can't do it because I don't, the stuff's not aligning up for me, you can do it. You just pick yourself up and you go again. And I didn't share that last time, Pat, because
I love Ken. Ken is such an amazing person, and he's still doing amazing things since the last time we spoke. So if you want to check him out, you can listen to the rest of that episode and get all the show notes and links to all of his stuff at smartpassiveincome.com/session221. I'm pretty sure he will be a recurring guest here on the show every maybe 100 or 200 episodes, because he's just so cool and he's taking massive action. And he started at the bottom, just like all of us. So next up, I want to feature the very next episode, actually after that, 222, with a good buddy of mine, somebody who's also been on the show before, and that is Ramit Sethi. He is one of the most requested repeat guests that we've ever had. That's why he's been on the show multiple times. And in this particular episode, in the clip I'm about to share with you, we start talking about price. Do you start low and then lead up to something high, or is it better to start high and set that anchor? So we're going to get right into that. It's some amazing psychology that you're about to learn, and just you'll be able to tell why and how Ramit is so good at what he does. $4.99, $9.99 product just to get people in the door before you scare them with a $497 product. But it almost sounds like that starting high isn't always going to be bad. Where does one even start? Like, how does one wrap around their head around what to do first in terms of launching products?
Let's get the mindset right. You're not scaring anyone by charging $499, $1,000, or even $5,000. Okay, you're not scaring anybody. When people think about the word scaring, what they typically think is that someone's going to scroll down their sales page and suddenly see the price and just go, "Oh my God, that's outrageous! That's ridiculous! I would never. Maybe if it was $4, I would buy it." But what we need to understand first is that you're not failing at the sales page. You've failed way, way before, and that is in qualifying the right buyer, right? So many people have heard one of the things that we do in our business is we don't allow anyone with credit card debt to purchase our flagship courses. And that's a value-based decision. That's the way I want to run my business, my life. That costs us millions of dollars a year. It's the right thing to do. It also means that by the time someone comes to even hear about how they can purchase something from us, we've already qualified them in a lot of different ways. This is really scary for people because the first thing most people want is to inflate the numbers. I want a huge email list. I want a big funnel. I want all this stuff. And we've always believed that we would start with quality and have the best products, have the best subscribers. And when you do all of those things, you just stack them on top of each other. It is irresistible and it is undeniable that your business will grow. So to answer your question specifically, there are a lot of people who say you need a $4.99 product. Okay, if that's the business model you want to do, you absolutely can do that. But let me just say that I think that most rules out there are made to be mastered and then broken. So we don't do a $4.99 product. I would rather not play in the $4, $20, or even $50 sandbox. We generate a substantial amount of revenue from a $2,000 product. And that is for people who are, typically millennials, they're in their 30s. Mm-hmm. So I would say you don't need to do what somebody tells you about a $4.99 product. But what I would say is there are some simple math models I can give you that would show you how to build a pretty substantial online business. So you want to go through a little bit of the math?
Yeah, before that though, I want to ask you a question. A lot of people when they hear this, they're going to be like, well, I'm leaving out a lot of people who could purchase the product because of the price. And I think a lot of people feel bad of charging more because they're going to leave some people out who could benefit from that product. And so,
okay. Great question and great point. It is so true. Let me say this. You have to get your psychology right when you're thinking about selling. And let's spend some time on this because this is critical. We already talked about scaring people. You're not scaring the right people. When I offer a product and it is for the right person, they're not scared. You know what they say? Please take my money. Please. Can I just scroll down and I don't even want to read these words. Just take my money.
Right. I feel like you made this just for me. That kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. And we did because we found the needle in the haystack that it was a perfect fit for. Now that takes a lot of work and a lot of research, and we can talk about all that. But you're not scaring the right person. The wrong person should already be off to something that's a better fit. Now, if you're concerned about not serving everyone, I think that's a valid concern because we didn't all start a business just to maximize profits. There's more to it than that. The approach we took was to say, look, we're going to give away 98% of our material for free, and then 2% is going to be very premium. So we're not really interested in playing in the middle ground. If you have people who say, that's too expensive, then what I would recommend is you point them to your blog posts and you say, please use this blog post. It is so good. If you execute on this, you'll be able to save time, save money, earn money, whatever. You'll typically find two things. You'll typically find that about 85 to 90% of the time, the people who are complaining about price are not actually complaining about price. They just don't want to do what you're offering. Mm-hmm. It's all fun and games and ponies and cake until there's consequences and there's some skin in the game, which is money. I guarantee this, everyone listening, send the people who complain about price, say, look, totally understand that this price isn't for everyone. Let me recommend something. Go check out this blog post, execute on it, write me back on Monday and tell me how it goes. Set a little reminder for yourself in Boomerang or SaneBox or whatever you use. They won't write you back. I can guarantee you that. 99% of those people will never write you back. Write them back on Tuesday and say, hey, how did it go? Tell me specifically what kind of results did you get? You will find that about 70% of those people will never reply to your second email. The ones who do will almost always be full of excuses and reasons it didn't work. Pat, can you guess what they would say about why they weren't able to execute?
I just didn't have time.
Something came up.
Yep.
Weekend, blah, blah, blah. So now I'm not trying to be pejorative at all or insult any of these people. What I want you to do is put on a scientist hat and try to understand what's going on. They first complained about price. And if you had simply taken them at face value, you would have lowered your price. They still would have never bought. Mm-hmm. So instead, you played a little experiment. You said, hey, go try this free blog post, which is going to help you save time, save money, earn money. And you wanted to see if they would actually follow through. If they can't follow through on something free, how are they going to follow through on the challenging work in your course? And if what I'm saying is accurate, which I believe it is because I've tested it with literally thousands of people, then you're going to find out that those people actually were just using price as a decoy to excuse their lack of follow through. So now you know that is not your market. You could lower your price. You could put a crown on your head. You could do whatever. You could send them a cake. It's not going to change anything. So now you've already had a world-changing insight, which is that's not your customer. So let's not even think or concern ourselves with that. I'd rather reserve my limited concern and limited attention for the people who are actually likely to follow through.
So is the goal to... Man, I feel like Ramit needs to carry around a bag of microphones with him because every time he speaks, every time he's on the show, or even when I talk to him in person, I learn so much, and he says it in such an amazing, memorable, strong way that I feel like he can just pull out a microphone and drop it every time after he speaks. So, maybe we can get him that. But anyway, I love Ramit's stuff. You can check him out. He has a blog at iwillteachyoutoberich.com. And of course, the show notes are available at smartpassiveincome.com/session222. Hope you guys are learning a lot from hearing these younger episodes of these previous episodes of the Smart Passive Income podcast. We're going to skip ahead a little bit. I'm going to skip over one that I thought I was going to put in here, but I decided not to because it's actually this episode that I'm talking about right now, 227, is actually 15 audio clips from 15 different entrepreneurs sharing their single answer to a question that I had asked all of them. And it was a pretty cool episode, different than any other one that I've done before. The highest downloaded episode of the year so far, scaled down to based on when it was released and all that stuff. I did the math. But anyway, that is the question that I asked them all was, what's one thing you wish you had known before you started your online business? So 15 entrepreneurs came on. You can listen to that one, smartpassiveincome.com/session227. But the next one I wanted to play a clip for you from is my favorite sort of solo episode of the year. This is one where it's just me, and that is episode 230. The title is From Deathly Afraid to Cool and Confident, My 5-Year Public Speaking Journey. And what I love about this one is I was able to, similar to this episode, actually pull clips from previous speaking engagements that I've done and show you my progression over time. So I'm actually going to play the most embarrassing part for you, which is the beginning, which takes you back to 2011 when I first got on stage, and actually shares clips from my very first presentation in Chicago at FinCon, Financial Blogger Conference in 2011. And then you'll hear my commentary, which was in episode 230, after that, just talking about how ridiculous it was. But that was the start of it all. And now since then, I've spoken dozens and dozens of times. I absolutely love it. I still get really nervous, and I don't think that's ever going to go away. I sort of consider it a sign that, I actually still care and I want to do well. So yeah, anyway, here's the clip from the beginning of episode 230, my favorite solo episode of the year. It's also known as FinCon 2011.
Cool. Thanks, man. Hey, seriously, let's all give Philip, the biggest round of applause. This has been an amazing experience. This is incredible. This is incredible. Last to speak, right? I have a lot of responsibility. You can go home, I could have a really crappy presentation, and you could think the conference sucked. And it's all my fault. But, at last.
Wow. What a way to start, Pat, by telling everybody that you could just ruin the entire conference. Of course, you could probably tell that I was a bit nervous, and by a bit, I mean a lot of bit. And it was because I had never dreamed that I would be on stage in front of, at this event, hundreds of people and talking. This was something I was deathly afraid of doing. And now you might be wondering, well, Pat, why did you do it in the first place? Well, for a few reasons. I wanted to get into public speaking because I knew it was going to be good for business, and actually I had been given the opportunity to do it several times before, but I had said no because I was just completely afraid of it. However, when my good friend Philip Taylor, the author of PTmoney.com, a financial blog that I was reading at the time, when he reached out to me and asked me to come speak at his event, I said yes. And it was his first event that he had ever put on, and I wanted to help him out. So I was excited, but also a little nervous. And I didn't know, however, you might remember by listening to the little clip that I played there in the beginning, and don't worry, I have a lot more clips for you, that I was going last. I didn't know I was going to be last up at this event. I had a spot in the middle of the event, and that's what I was preparing for. However, 2 weeks before the event started, after several dozens of hours of practice, again, because I was completely nervous, PT calls me and he says, Pat, our closing keynote bailed. How would you like to take the last spot? And in my head, I was like, no, never. I would never do that. Why are you putting me on the spot? I'd rather die. And really, I felt like that. Well, what came out of my mouth was, PT, anything for you, man. I'm here for you. And then after I hung up, started to get sweaty palms, started to freak out, and I put in even more hours. And actually, I got so nervous about speaking at this particular event that I scripted everything I was going to say. I had written down word for word 20 pages of text that I was going to memorize, and that's exactly what I did. Now that I've been speaking for several years now, I realize just how dumb that was, but it was just a reflection of how not confident I was as a speaker. And also just how much I really wanted to help out PT because he asked me for a favor I wanted to deliver. Using memorization techniques to memorize that script, I actually spent a lot of time reading and doing research about how to deliver a great presentation. I read a great book by Dale Carnegie called Stand and Deliver, which I still highly recommend for anybody getting started in speaking. And I loved it so much that I made the mistake of actually telling everybody that this was my first time on stage, and I love that book so much.
You taught me a lot too. I don't know if Ramit's here. Incredible presentation. I've been reading a lot about presenting and public speaking. This is my first presentation, just like Adam's first public speaking gig. And, I read Stand and Deliver by Dale Carnegie and all the tips in there. Ramit did everything to it.
No need for that. There's no need for that. Plus, I think the audience knew that I was kind of nervous because my voice would crack.
And really what saved my life was a blog.
Yeah. I don't know if this is cringeworthy for you to listen to, but for me, while I'm editing this show right now, I am indeed cringing and wincing, and it's really hard for me to listen to because I know now what I did wrong. But I think this shows you that whenever you're just starting out with something, if it's your first time, you're going to be terrible. You're going to be bad, but the only way to get better is to keep doing it. So I ask you, what is your equivalent of me getting on stage back in 2011? What's that thing you need to do that is probably scaring you to death right now, that you're probably going to suck at first, that you just need to do? And hopefully through the course of the rest of this episode, you're going to hear just how I've been able to improve, what I've done to make those improvements. And part of that is actually appreciating the small wins along the way. Because although I wasn't perfect and although I was cringeworthy at first, I did do some things right.
One thing I learned from him was going for the big win. So one day I go to my boss and I say, I'm worth this much. This is how much I should be earning. Next day, $20,000 raise. Thanks to Ramit. 4 months later, I was laid off.
I told stories. And I found that when I was telling stories on stage, people listened and they engaged. And if I timed it right, I could get a laugh or a head nod from the entire crowd. Here's another story that I told.
That not a lot of people talk about. I want you to seek engagement. Get your audience to participate. How many of you have tweeted about FinCon this weekend? Why? Because we're all a part of it. And we all support it because we're a part of it. So have people become a part of your brand and have them support you in the same way. I said earlier in the beginning of my presentation that I was a short kid. A lot of my friends like to play basketball, unfortunately. And because they were my friends, they invited me to play basketball, which was nice of them. But I was last picked for teams. I was never passed the ball. I never got to shoot the ball. I was just there running around like a chicken without a head. And I didn't feel like I was really there, even though I was. And then they had the opportunity to do some local 3-on-3 basketball tournaments, and they set up teams. And obviously, I wasn't good enough to be on the team. Wasn't tall enough, too. But they were like, Pat, you should come out and support the team. And I was like, no thanks. And the reason was they didn't really include me very much. But I guarantee you that if they passed me the ball a couple times, if they let me shoot and miss and just encouraged me and let me participate, I would have been there like that. I would have squirted Gatorade in their mouth during timeouts. I would have patted them with towels. I would have given them massages. I don't do that for free. I monetize. No.
The funny thing was, after the presentation was over, and it was only 20 minutes, but it was the longest 20 minutes of my life, I thought I did very poorly. I was expecting a number of people to come up to me and say, Pat, you should never be on stage again. Pat, you were terrible. Pat, you just didn't really intrigue me. But the exact opposite happened. After the presentation was over and after the conference ended, I had a line of people who wanted to talk to me, who gave me their business cards, who said thank you so much, who said it was really inspiring, who said there were a couple points in there that are truly going to change the course of their business. And that's when I got hooked. So yeah, I really, really enjoyed putting that episode together, and the comments coming in from that episode were some of the best comments I've ever heard from some podcasts that I've published. Jessica Elliott in the comment section said, I absolutely love this episode. I'm terrified of public speaking, but I found your story really encouraging. That's awesome. Jessica, thank you so much. Adam says, longtime listener, probably first-time commenter. Anyway, this was one of my favorite episodes in a long time. That comes from Adam. Thank you so much. Kelly says, I've been a fan for a couple of years. I know everyone says that, but to put it in terms of most people understand, when I run out of memory on my iPhone, it's because of Ask Pat and SPI. But I don't want to get all sappy, but wow, loved this episode. Some of the things you said were exactly what I needed to hear. Listened to it several times over and over, and I can honestly say I haven't done that in a while with anything. So Kelly, thank you for that. And everybody else who left comments on Twitter and who've sent me emails about this episode. Again, I put a lot more hours into that one than I have in a lot of other episodes because it was a lot of the editing and whatnot. But truly, if you haven't heard that, and whether you are planning to go into public speaking or not, I still think it's a worthwhile episode for you. And plus, it's going to tell you a little bit more about how I work and what I do to try to be the best that I can be at whatever I end up trying to do. So if you want to check that out, go to smartpassiveincome.com/session230. And again, thank you so much for all the support for that one. Now, that was 5 episodes already. I told you at the top of the show that I was going to give you the top 5, but I couldn't help myself. I wanted to give you one more and play a few clips from this one. And this is my all-time favorite episode from this year because it featured my entire family. This was episode 225 that featured not only my son, who's been on the show before, but he's a lot bigger now, and he is a lot more, well-crafted with his words, and we talk and have real conversations about stuff, so I'll share some of that in just a minute. But my daughter comes on the show, too, because she hadn't ever been on the show before, and she can talk, and she's super cute. And my wife, who has never been featured here on the show, is coming on to share a few things, too. So here's some clips from each of those little segments of episode 225 with my family. And the title of this podcast is Meet the Flynn Family, parentheses, the ones who really run the show. What did we say earlier? We were just going to pretend like we're having coffee, right?
Or we're just out of coffee like that one time where we had juice.
Okay, you want juice, not coffee.
No, you have coffee, though.
Why don't you want coffee?
Mm-hmm.
Why shouldn't you drink coffee?
I don't want to stay the same size, and
because that's what I tell you, right? If you drink coffee, you'll stay the same size.
Yeah.
You don't want that to happen. That's why I haven't grown.
Wait, I actually think I want that because I never want to grow so I don't get old and die.
Okay. Well, that's good reasoning, I guess, but we'll talk about that later in life. So, Keone, business. What is a business?
A business is a thing that solves problems.
That's right. Good answer. But what kinds of things does a business do to solve problems?
Sell things that are helpful and useful.
Nice. Nice, Keone. And then what happens when you sell something to somebody? What does that somebody give you?
Money.
Money. And what can you do with that money?
You can
spend it on different things, right?
Like you can use it for your family for dinner or something.
Yeah, that's good. You can also do what with that money? If you have way too much money, what should you do with it?
Put it in your bank.
Good. That's good. So we could protect the money. What if you have an incredible amount of money and it's more money than you need? What should you do with some of that extra money?
Give some of it.
To who?
Probably your wife or something.
Yes, exactly. Great answer. But also remember how we built a couple schools in Africa? Mm-hmm. And that's a good thing to do. There's also...
Build schools in places buildings that are helpful in places that don't have enough money to get it.
Yeah, those are... countries and places that need help, and a lot of people who have extra money can help. There's a lot of really famous people who donate a lot of money to help a lot of people, because that's what business and really life is all about, right? Helping as many people as possible. Mm-hmm. What do I say to you before I drop you after school every day?
How might you change the world?
How might you change the world, and what do you say?
Helping others.
Helping others, that's right. And do you help other people, Keone?
When they need help.
When they need help? What if you're not sure if they need help?
Ask them.
Ask them. Good. This was so fun to do, and I love my son so much, and I love the fact that he's absorbing a lot of what I'm putting into practice and sharing with the world and sharing with you. So it's so cool to see him adopt those strategies, and even from the teachers at school who work with him, they can tell that he has a different way of approaching things, and I think setting that into children early is really important. That's why sort of in my 5 to 10 year plan. I plan to, I think I've mentioned this before, but I want to create a organization of some kind to help kids learn entrepreneurial principles and money management and all the things that they don't teach in school that you kind of have to figure out, and even some people still haven't figured out or will never figure out. I think putting that into children early is so important, and that's why I'm just super thankful that I'm able to have that kind of a direct impact on my son and his life. And whether he chooses to be an entrepreneur or not, he has at least those that kind of thinking, which will help him through life, no matter what he does. Okay, next up is my daughter. I'm going to play a little clip. This wasn't very long in the podcast to begin with, but you'll hear her voice and just some of her cute answers. Here she is. Hi, Kai. How are you?
Good.
Are you happy to be on the show?
Yeah.
Thanks for being here.
You're welcome.
How old are you?
3.
3 years old? That's old. Or is it not old?
Not old.
It's not old. Daddy's old, right? So, what are some things that you love?
Kitties and doggies.
Kitties and doggies. Do you have a kitty or a doggy?
I have a doggy,
What's his name?
Gizmo.
What does he look like?
He looks white.
He's white. What else? Is he big or small?
Small.
Small. What's your favorite thing about Gizmo?
That he's comfortable.
He's comfortable? Do you sleep on him?
No.
No, but you pet him, right? Is he fluffy? Yeah, that's nice. Are you going to school soon, Kai?
Yeah.
Do you know what grade you're going into?
Yeah.
Which one?
First grade.
First grade? No, that's brother's is into first grade. I think you're going to preschool, right? You're really excited about preschool? Why are you really excited about it?
Because I'm going to do all math.
You're going to do math? Why do you like math? That's awesome.
Because they're going to show us what we have to do first.
Oh, that's right. Can I quiz you? Can we try some math here? So if you have 1 plus 1, how many is that?
2.
How about 2 plus 2? How many is that?
3.
No, most.
4.
4, that's right. All right. I think you got a good head start on math, Kai, so I'm very proud of you. So I want to talk. That was so much fun to do. Kai is awesome. She was so nervous before doing that, but I think she rocked it out. She's a rock star for sure. And then finally, I want to finish up with my wife, April. She came on the show, and she talked a little bit about her experience as a wifepreneur, I guess you could say, and just what life was like and some of the things that she's going through. So here is my lovely, gorgeous, beautiful wife, April. Like, hey, you're Pat Flynn. You got this podcast and stuff. I'm just Pat's wife. Like that like identity. Do you mind talking a little bit about that, like the struggles there? I think this is a very common thing, especially for a lot of the moms out there and dads who, like, the other person is kind of the breadwinner and you're kind of just support in the background.
It's a little weird. I mean, I know especially in the position that you are, where you kind of have fans, and we get stopped at Dairy Queens with people who recognize you, and I kind of stand on the side like, should I say hi? Should I move away so you guys can have a conversation? Like, sometimes I don't even know what I'm supposed to do. I'm just kind of there, and I'm like, I want my ice cream. So it's a little weird. And like I said, it is hard sometimes when it's like the other person gets a credit, because obviously we both contribute in terms of the kids and in terms of our life and supporting our family. So, I mean, it's hard because it's the choice that you made and it's the choice that I made.
Right.
But I don't know. It is tough.
But on the other side of things, the fact that we're both at home, we're both with the kids all the time. What are some of the good things that have happened as a result of sort of this? Obviously, it felt terrible when I got laid off, but it became a blessing, a huge blessing in disguise. And now, we're able to do certain things that we wouldn't have been able to do if I was, if we were both in the workforce, even if I was in the workforce and still in architecture and stuff. Like, what are some of the, I guess, benefits of sort of our lifestyle at this point?
I think definitely just the freedom of it and the flexibility of it. Just the fact that we can be home with the kids more. I know for both of us, our background was most of the time our parents were working and we didn't see our parents very often. Just like I said, I mean, I grew up in daycares. I did after school programs. I was a latchkey kid. And so I didn't see my parents very often. And all I had was dinner to bedtime. And so the fact that the kids can see us every day, we can bring them to school, we can pick them up. If they have a day off or it's a weekend, we can just spontaneously decide to go to the amusement park or bring them somewhere and spend the day as a family. And I know that's something that a lot of people don't get because of their work schedule or because of whatever. So definitely that's just the benefit, is just being there. And I know the kids appreciate it because when we're not there, they totally don't understand it. And it's weird because even Keone will come up to me and he's like, oh, so-and-so's daddy works at an office like all day. How come daddy doesn't do it? And I'm like, well, don't you like that daddy's home? And he's like, yeah, it's awesome. And so I think it's just the fact that the kids have us around and, you know, we can do stuff as a family whenever we want to.
Yeah, that's my favorite part of it. I mean, the flexibility, like you said. I was so proud of April because she was a little bit nervous doing the podcast episode. She doesn't do them very often, actually doesn't do them ever. So she did a great job, and I think she kind of had to fight through it, but I loved her answers. And if you want to hear the rest of that episode with not just me, not just April, but also my two kids in that full interview, if you want to go to smartpassiveincome.com/session225, that's where that is at. Now, to help you out, I mentioned a lot of links already in this episode. If you want the show notes for this episode, this one that you're listening to right now, 246, that will point you into all these directions that I talked about here in this episode. So to make it easy on you, just head on over to smartpassiveincome.com/session246. I really hope you enjoyed this episode. I had a lot of fun putting it together, going back into the past, pulling some of my favorite parts. Really enjoyed putting my family back in there. I love sharing them, and my kids, they're my motivation. They're exactly why I do what I do every day. And my wife, she's my support system. She's the most underrated member of Team Flynn, so I can't thank her enough, and I'm so glad to feature her here again in this episode at the end of the year. And I want to thank you for listening, not just to this episode, but all the other episodes that you've listened to this year. We got an amazing lineup next year, a lot of success stories, case studies, lots of great content coming your way. Guys, we've made it to the end of the year. I want to thank you so much. If you have a moment, if you've enjoyed what you've listened to in this episode or any other episode this year, please help me out. Head on over to iTunes and leave a review, an honest review. I read them all. I love you all for that. And thank you so much. Until next year, which is only a week away, enjoy your new year. Stay safe. And if you're listening to this in the future, enjoy your weekend. Enjoy your day. Just live life to the fullest, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Smart Passive Income Podcast at www.smartpassiveincome.com.
Have you dreamt about being your own boss, but still haven't made the first steps to making that dream a reality? Well, I get that. Starting a business can feel super overwhelming with legal forms, paperwork, finances. It's a lot. And that's why I'm excited to tell you about Taylor Brands. Taylor is a complete business builder designed to make launching your business simple and stress-free. You can register your LLC in just minutes, keeping your personal assets and the business assets separate from day one. From there, you get access to everything you need to get off the ground. Legal documents, licenses and permits, invoicing and bookkeeping tools, and even a 100-day business coaching program, all designed to help you hit the ground running. You'll also get a free, personalized business plan, branding tools, and so much more. And of course, listeners of this show get an exclusive 35% discount to get started. All you have to do is head to taylorbrands.com/SPI. That's TAILORBRANDS.com/SPI. Stop dreaming, start building with Taylor Brands. Hey there, quick pause here because I have to tell you about a tool that completely transforms the podcasting workflow, Riverside. I get it. I used to juggle multiple platforms just to record one podcast episode. It was exhausting. Zoom for recording, Audacity for editing, and then a bunch of different apps just to create clips and social posts. I've tried other ones as well. They were okay, but They were clunky and super time consuming. That's where Riverside has massively helped. I can do it all in one place: recording, editing, repurposing, one platform, one streamlined flow. I just log in, record with my guests no matter where they are in the world, and just like that, studio quality audio and high resolution video all in one. And get this, even if your Wi-Fi glitches, Riverside records locally on your device so everything sounds and looks crystal clear. But here's my favorite feature: Riverside's AI editing tool. You can remove silences and filler words with just one click. Hours saved. With Magic Clips, Riverside also automatically finds the best moments and turns them into ready-to-post videos for YouTube Shorts, TikTok, Instagram, all without the extra editing. So if you're looking to level up your production quality and simplify your workflow, go to smartpassiveincome.com/Riverside and use code SMART to get 1 month free on the Pro plan. That's smartpassiveincome.com/Riverside, promo code SMART. It's built by creators for creators, and I think you're going to love it.